And Lewis, yes, we're ready now, Eddie. Yep, we are on live television, Eddie. Are you ready now? Just pop your earpiece in and you'll be connected to the outside world. And say hello to the viewers.
Matching shirt. Jake loves embarrassing me. I don't know what it is about you, Jake, but you'll have to just give over and stop
It was
giving me
entirely
a
my
hard time.
fault. Completely my fault at all times. Hello, thank you very much for pressing red and welcome to the F1 Forum, where we would love to get your emails. We would love your tweets as well. Sadly, David Coulthard has had to shoot off, but that doesn't mean there isn't plenty for us to get excited about. Martin Brundle will hot-foot it down from the commentary box, and we'll hopefully see Lewis Hamilton's celebrations, and it'll be a good celebration to see. Last time that we chatted to Lewis after a win, which was in the Chinese Grand Prix, he was so great to talk to. He was so excited, he was so happy, and this is what he gets for picking up the win
Remember
today.
what he said as he's coming around. This was probably one of his best ever races, and I think he probably included in that, of course, China. But he's had two absolute fantastic races this year. We've been on the edge of our seat looking at them. They've been phenomenal. He looked supreme. He looked every bit the world champion that he was. People will always call to question some indiscretions that he makes on and off the track, but we talk about on the track here. They're forgotten about today. Nobody's talking about what went on in Monza and places like that. We need to be upbeat. We have in our midst an absolutely phenomenal talent here.
Yeah. That's nice, isn't it? Now, these two young ladies, they work in the McLaren motorhome. They work very hard on serving drinks and food and all. So, what?
They give to us the most amazing honeycomb ice cream. It's absolutely the feature of my day.
And now they get to hold the trophy and get a photo and take that home and show it to their families. Well done to them. Congratulations to everybody at McLaren. If you're wondering about the change of colour, that's the rocket red T-shirts that they put on when they win a race. So I'm just loading up a few messages that are coming through to us here. While we're talking about the joy for Lewis Hamilton, another struggle for Jenson Button this weekend. Not only was he off the pace on Saturday, but this time Sunday as well, and he's had to work hard to save his races often on a Sunday. Couldn't do that today.
Well, I just don't quite get. McLaren have not got yet the ability to bring both of them together. When Jenson is having a really good race, it's misery for Lewis and vice versa. Hopefully soon they'll all gel together and we'll see a real big, strong McLaren push, possibly a 1-2. That's certainly the way the car is at the moment, is always on the cards.
OK, well, let's just smash through a few messages that are coming in on Twitter for us today. It says, great to see Lewis supporting his top attitude with top results. That's from Manuel Moriarty. When JB was stuck behind Petrov, it looked like his DRS wasn't working, says Easy Pack. There's quite a few messages, actually, coming in about not just the honeycomb ice cream, but also Jenson Button, and the fact that often his biggest strength is also his biggest weakness, because when he's totally happy with the car, as we saw in Canada, he will fly. If there's something not quite right, he's not happy at all. And before he retired, his pace wasn't there, was it?
His pace wasn't there really all weekend. By his own standards and McLaren standards, it was a very poor qualifying from him, bearing in mind where Lewis put his car. And from that point of view, I think Jenson will go away and try and say, hang on, I was a second or so off the pace in qualifying and I just wasn't even close in the race. Who knows? I'm sure they'll find something wrong with the car.
Well, if we just sort of stick with you for a moment, let's have a sort of Ask Eddie session. There's loads of questions coming in here for you. From Dreamy Lady 85, can you explain why Daniel Ricciardo has Red Bull on his helmet and overalls but is driving for HRT? Can you explain that?
I think it's very simple. I can be almost certain that Red Bull, part of their investment in young drivers, have funded him to do that, and part of the funding is obviously to continue with some of the sponsorship.
OK, why is Michael Schumacher still listed as MSC when he should be SCH in the listings, in the timings?
I can't answer that. We'll have to speak to Mr.
Shall I give you the answer then?
Please do.
OK, it's because when he raced with his brother, obviously...
No, I mean, that was risk.
Oh,
of course.
Oh, you didn't know the answer?
Are you talking about
when
now?
I told you?
OK, yes, you're right. Well done.
OK, F1 Kev, has EJ got a bit trendy? I think they're talking about the Mac.
Well, actually, there was a word that we're not allowed to use, apparently, but some people have called it very strange words about this Mac, which is a freebie. It was so cold, I went in for a little drink of coffee last night, and I looked so dreadfully cold in Sauber. They gave me this jacket to wear for today. It does have to go back, sadly.
OK, I've got maybe 100 messages here, actually, about Mark Webber overtaking Lewis Hamilton under a yellow flag. I'm sure we'll have a look at that, see if we can find some footage. That's come from a lot of people on Twitter, actually. Jamie Osborne says that's a fantastic result. Great to see Vettel not getting a podium. Brackets, no offence, of course. All three drivers deserve that podium finish. And that's another important point today, is that for only the second time this season, Sebastian Vettel's lead has been eaten into, but crucially, by only 3 points. It's gone from 80 to 77.
He's being a real clever driver. You know, the last person we had like this was a bit Alan Prost, dare I say, and we know how many world championships he won. So he was smart. He got the maximum out of what he wanted today. He finished fourth, and that's the best he could have ever have done. So for him, this was like winning a Grand Prix.
Okay, and Andy, the 156th, what time are the highlights on? 7 o'clock tonight, BBC Three. Now, let's just have a little look then about this Lewis Hamilton and Mark Webber moment with the questions about the yellow flags. Now, we could see there Nick Heifeld's car being just lifted up after he'd slipped off, and here we can see the moment that this is alleged to have happened, and obviously there is Mark Webber getting past Lewis Hamilton, and then Lewis Hamilton coming back. Now, obviously, this is after they've gone past the yellow flags, Eddie. They're making their way around the final corner onto the start-finish straight. Anything there for the stewards to look at? What are your thoughts?
I don't think so. It's past the yellow flag. We're not sure. We didn't see a green flag. So, you know, can't be certain from here. The stewards have so many. We're told how many different angles the stewards have that we don't see. I mean, what we're given out to and what Martin has to make the commentary on is vastly different to what the stewards have.
Well, if we go right back to the very start of that again, because Martin Brundle has come to join us down here from the commentary box. So, Martin, if we take a look at this with you, we can see the yellow flags were still flashing, actually, as they made their way around there. And then Mark Webber goes past Lewis. Your thoughts?
Well, he passes him, doesn't he, into the final corner. He may well have gone past a green flag at that point, which is after the incident. He didn't pass on the way into the incident. I wonder then if he's letting Lewis back through. I don't know if he hadn't yet quite passed.
Well, look,
the green
this is what
flag.
the drivers are seeing. You can see yellow flags there.
Yeah.
Can you see a green anyway?
Well, he hasn't passed him into the yellow flag zone. It's
Yeah.
a question of where we see. Yeah, there's a green light flashing.
Was that
So
green? I'm colourblind.
Yeah,
It was green.
it's clear.
Okay.
I think
It's okay.
That's
And the
absolutely
stewards
fine.
would have. That was in a reasonably early part of the race, and the stewards would have picked it up long before.
I mean,
that.
he didn't outbrake him and pass him on the way into that chicane. He was simply passing him because Lewis made a mistake. And remember, Lewis got straight back on the radio after that saying, "Don't talk to me while I'm busy, please."
Yeah, I love that moment. Another sort of slightly contentious issue has come in on Twitter from Abs, and he actually addresses it to you, Martin. Will Alonso be penalised for not reaching Parc Ferme and riding Mark Webber's car? Now, I suppose there's two elements to discuss there. There's the lack of fuel in the car element, and also riding on somebody's car, which you shouldn't really do.
He wouldn't be disqualified for that. He might be reprimanded or fined. I don't know how the FIA stewards will. I don't think there's anything in the regulations. I just checked the rules before I came out of the comedy box on fuel sample, and it doesn't say anything. I know that there are hundreds of supplementary rules and all that, and we saw in Canada last year with Lewis Hamilton where they forced the drivers to have enough fuel to have a sample and get back to the pits in qualifying. But I think in a collecting tank somewhere there will be enough fuel to have a sample out of that Ferrari. I think they'll be all right on that, but you can't run them bone dry. But within the system, you know, and a lot of the fuel systems are driven by the G-force of the car as the fuel is moved around within the baffles, and that's what puts the fuel into the collector. If you're coasting around on an in-lap, sometimes you don't pick it up.
I was reading the technical regs on the way in today, and I remember reading technical regulation 662 that they must have a litre of fuel in the car at the end of the race. Did you ever have an issue like this, Eddie?
I've had lots of issues like this. I've had to fight tooth and nail with the stewards. But you can. It doesn't say that you cannot disassemble the car. You can put it up on its side. You can always find something in the end of a catch tank. You'll always get something in the trumpets of the lines. You will find somewhere in the car, no matter how if you really determine to find that litre, you'll find it.
Is it amazing, actually, when the car almost is bone dry, you can still find that litre of fuel?
Well, you always do, because it can't pick up the last drop. It's very often the baffle, the way the tanks are made, there's always something left in it, because it is impossible to suck all of the fuel out, and you will grab it out of the tank.
One of the first things teams do when they put a new car on the track in Barcelona in pre-season testing is do a fuel run-out test to see how much of the fuel they can pick up. But did you say you read a regulation where there's got to be... You made that up, didn't you?
Of course he did.
Yeah, okay.
Someone read a regulation and read it down my ear, which is as good
There are
as.
literally tens, if not hundreds, of supplementaries that the team together we don't have access to.
This is a good one, actually, from Stevie Zace and a few other people actually asking about this, Martin. Many people thought that the massive Vettel moment towards the end was incredibly interesting, but should there be a minimum number of laps that you have to run on each of the tyres? I suppose it would remove that nice moment where we're watching a race with 2 laps to go and we know they've got to stop. What do you think?
Well, I saw a load of tweets I looked at while you were doing the end of the show, and I just saying, oh, this two-tyre rule is boring. I just don't understand that at all, frankly, because I think it really added a spice to today's race. How far could they go before they had to put a slower set of tyres on? And people coming in on the last lap of a Grand Prix to do a shootout in the pits. What's not exciting about that? It's the same rules for everybody. And we saw, for example, Sutil come at it in a completely different way and get himself up into 6th place. I don't see how that didn't add value to that Grand Prix, frankly.
Martin, for me, Sutil and Force India outfoxed the complete Mercedes team, because Michael had to come in very late, and we know Rosberg had to come in. They did 3 stops. Sutil did 2. Well done to them, and I think I support you 100%. The tyre rule, as it stands, we are very fortunate, because a lot of the excitement we're seeing this year is coming from Pirelli.
Okay, now, so many messages coming in from you guys saying you want to hear from Lewis Hamilton, you want to see Lewis Hamilton on the television. The request has gone in. If Lewis is happy to join us, we would love that, and hopefully we'll get hold of him before the end of this forum. Another one from Chris Presley saying, what's the telephone number for Mark Webber's taxi service? Well, let's just relive this. It was a lovely sort of chance to reminisce the beautiful Senna Mansell moment. Let's first of all hear the team radio. Okay, well, we couldn't hear the team radio there, sadly, but we can see Fernando Alonso getting a lift. And I don't mind these kinds of things in Formula One. You know, Lewis getting told off for doing donuts at Silverstone, or he shouldn't have left the pen at the end. This is sport, this is emotion, it's a chance to go out there, have a cuddle with the guys who've helped him out. And the fans want to see this kind of thing, Martin. You've got to be careful we don't sanitise the sport too much, I guess.
Yeah, but it wouldn't look very sanitised if he fell off and got run over by a Red Bull.
Elton's safety
well,
have an issue
it's
with
his decision. He's a grown-up. He can make his own decisions.
Yeah, well, that's a fact, but it is incredibly... I've done that a few times. It's so hard. I agree with you, if that's what they want to do out there, and it's a great moment, and it's an iconic shot that we know and that David remembered in commentary about Mansell and Senna. And I personally don't have an issue with it, but, doing donuts, the tyre manufacturers don't like that in case the tyres go bang or you flick a stone into the crowd or whatever. I remember doing donuts in the 2-seater McLaren once, just showing off. I had a very important person in the back with me, and Bridgestone at the time went absolutely crazy because they thought I was going to shred the tyres. It was going to be embarrassing. But
not shredding tyres. Whoa.
But you're right. We want to see a little bit more of the spirit of the thing.
Yeah, before we know it, they'll ban the cars going any more than 50 miles an hour. One man who was going more than 50 for quite a lot of this race, actually, it was a pretty good drive from Michael Schumacher, and we'll dissect it with the guys in just a moment. This was the low point, probably, when he was fighting with his teammate. He was pushing for points, and sadly, he ended up spinning off the track. And just to remind you, this is a track where he's won on 5 different occasions. He's responsible for the Schumacher S's. He helped to design the chicane at the end of the lap, the same chicane that he blamed for his slow time in qualifying yesterday. So that was his low point. We'll have a chat about some high points in just a moment. But first, as we see Michael touching the artificial grass and then getting to know the runoff area quite well, let's hear from Michael.
Well, Michael, just tell us about your race.
Well, pretty exciting, I'd say. Always in some kind of action, particularly after my spin that caught me by complete surprise. But I guess must have hit a wet patch somewhere that, I wasn't expecting, and the grip seemed dramatically less. And then we had luckily a nice recovery and lose obviously some position, because pretty sure I could have stayed in front of Sutil from the pace that we had with our car. Shame.
You've been battling with your teammate at that point as well. You got into some quite tasty battles out there today. Was it fun to be racing?
Yeah. As I said, I mean, it was exciting and lots of action generally around, obviously, as well with Nico. But you don't want to risk too much in that moment and take home the points, particularly as constructor is important, so we'll have to catch up our points.
I think a bit of relief for Michael that he ended up picking some points and finishing 8th in the race. It was another cracking start from him then, Martin. He's absolutely got these starts nailed, hasn't he?
He gains places, doesn't he? Every race, virtually. And look, he's got himself loads of clear air. He's guiding the car nicely. He's not doing anything stupid. He's just watching them all squabble and basically keeping himself on the right part of the racetrack. Well. Yeah. And, absolutely. I mean, Michael always attacks and tries to go forward on that first lap. Some would say that it's because he hasn't got the grid slots that he needs, but there's no bravery missing in Michael. I mean, he made one mistake today, but I made lots of mistakes up in commentary, and so did Vettel out in front. And it was a tough day on the track. in these conditions. And I think fundamentally Michael had a good afternoon.
Great overtake there on Jenson Button to start his race. Is Michael perhaps guilty of doing something that we think we've seen from Lewis Hamilton here, Eddie, where he's so used to having a faster car underneath him that he's overdriving the car, he's trying to get more out of the car, which is resulting in little mistakes that are costing him dearly?
Oh, well, I'm not really 100% sure about that, Jake. The problem at the moment is both Rosberg and Schumacher, they're just hanging in behind the top teams there, and they can't just get themselves up. When that happens to you mentally, a frustration, an envy builds up that you want to be up there so desperately. And desperate people do desperate things. We've seen that time and time when his nose came off. Today, he actually had a really good race. He made the same kind of mistake as Sebastian did by getting a wheel on the painted side of the track and eventually spinning out. So, you know, that was characteristic of the potential of what could go wrong today. But by and large, I think it was a good race from Michael.
Michael has said that he's like the stock market at the moment, and the stock market goes up and down, then it goes down a bit before it starts to go up. Would either of you invest at the moment in the Michael Schumacher stock market?
I think it'd be a short, what we call a short
In and
option
out,
on that,
get in
wouldn't
and
it?
out,
Yeah, because he's running out of time, isn't he? He'll be back next year.
I'd short the stock if I were, but then I'd probably be killed for saying that. But that's a stock that really has limited upside. I'd be shorting it.
OK, would you invest in Nico Rosberg? Should Nico be beating Michael more convincingly than he is? Should Nico have actually won a race since he joined Formula One? Let's assess him for a moment. He finished in the points again today, a couple of places ahead of Michael. Martin?
I think we've yet to see Nico in a car that should comfortably win the race on a regular basis. I've always been a supporter of his, and I've always said one of the things I like most about him is he goes forward in a race. Well, because he hasn't done that much this year. Today was fine, and he hasn't put himself on any kind of level with Hamilton, Button, Vettel, Alonso, Webber even. So Nico's got some work to do, but we haven't really seen him in a front-running car yet, have we? The Mercedes is not quite where it needs to be.
He's gone backwards almost every race. He's done well in qualifying. We'll get your thoughts on Nico in just a moment, Eddie, but let's first of all hear from Nico.
Well, Nico, tell us about your race. You got into quite a few battles out there today, a couple with your teammate and then Jenson before he retired.
Yeah, it was a very eventful race, definitely. In the beginning, I tried my best to keep Massa behind because I was running pretty well after the start, but he was just too quick then eventually. But still, in general, on the weekend, 7th place, the ideal position would have been 6th, so one off that again. So that's okay. Got some good points again and everything. Setup-wise, wasn't perfect, my car today, so with my engineer, I need to analyze that and see if we can do something better there, because I struggled too much with the rear end, so that wasn't ideal. I wasn't too happy with that. But other than that, I think it was okay.
And the German summer is not proving very successful, especially today. Just tell us about how those, it was difficult to get the tyres up to temperature. Was the grip level low?
Yeah, it was definitely difficult with the tyres and everything, especially on the prime tyres. But that's it was okay. Then it takes 1 or 2 laps, and then it's fine. But obviously, very unusual temperatures and everything. So maybe in Hungary we can see a completely different picture again.
We shall wait and see. And this is an example of what we're talking about, Eddie. Nico Rosberg going backwards during a race.
Yeah, I just don't quite understand. He gets himself into a good position and then he's not able to capitalise on it. I still have a little bit of a question mark. I share some of the view that he is a huge talent and maybe that the car is not quite good enough. But, he should be able to defend. We've seen some races this year where he's not really hard enough at the point of action and that he gives in a little bit easy. I want to see him tougher, harder on the circuit, a little bit like his dad used to be. Keke was very, very, very tough on track. I think he needs to go home and have a chat with his dad about a few little pointers that might put him in the right place.
But aren't we watching a situation here? I mean, so much happened in the race, but Massa's on much, much better tyres. I mean, the drive he's had off that final corner into the pit straight is significant. So you have to be careful what you're comparing here in a 60-lap race. But there is still a question mark over Nico. I still think he will answer it in the fullness of time, providing he can get a car that's fast enough. But he's responsible for helping make that car fast too. Let's not forget that.
And this is the opposite end of the spectrum, as you said. We want to give both sides of the story. This is Nico making his way past Vitaly Petrov, Michael Schumacher in attendance as well, and they were having a nice scrap out on track, which I'm sure the fans loved. And of course, Michael ended up making a mistake while pushing against his teammate, Eddie.
Well, let us not forget, when we heard that Michael Schumacher was coming back, did we really give Rosberg a chance? I don't think most people did. Certainly, you know, the team, Michael came in there as number one. Everyone was expecting Michael to dominate the situation. He clearly didn't. And well done to Rosberg for doing that, because that must have been untold pressure to have the 7 times world champion in the car alongside him.
It's true. Nico was attacking and defending there. He was dangerously close to breaching the 2-move rule, I have to say, defending against Michael into that chicane. Now I get a chance to see it again.
And this is Jensen making his way
Yeah.
past Nico as well.
Yeah.
I suppose the thing is, you know, in the past, let's take David Coulthard as a prime example. He took a Red Bull early on in his Red Bull career to a podium. He did it in Monaco. You know, we want to see Nico driving this car beyond where it should actually be, I think, rather than being at the limit of the car. That's what we're looking for from him, isn't it? Race wins are probably out of his reach, out of anyone's reach in that car.
And that's a very important point. A criteria that I heard when I was a kid, you know, can, whatever category you're racing in, can you win a race without having the fastest car underneath you? We know that Alonso and Hamilton and Vettel can. Vettel won in a Toro Rosso. Alonso, you know, won in the Renault a championship when he didn't have the fastest car. We've seen Michael win without the fastest car. Nico's yet to prove that skill.
OK, talking of proving your skills, Alex today was racing at Brands. How did he get on?
He did. He had a coming together in Paddock Hill Bend, and so I think he finished well down the field, unfortunately. I can hear my phone going off in my pocket, buzzing away with the bad news. I was just watching him on the live timing, so he's had a dismal weekend at Brands Hatch, sadly. 4th and 6th on the grid, but no points.
That's a shame. OK, that's a shame. Well, we'll keep an eye on him. Let's talk then about Adrian Sutil, who, again, had a good day today. This weekend, he's out-qualified and out-raced Paul di Resta. He struggled in qualifying against Paul, and we're riding on board with him from the start. He's starting to pick his season up, Martin, isn't he, Adrian Sutil?
Well, he's a good candidate for driver of the day, isn't he, today? And talking about outperforming your car, I think he's certainly done that with a clever strategy, off a decent grid position, and he hasn't made any mistakes on a day when others did, when world champions did. And I think Adrian Sutil did a very fine job indeed.
I think also to add to him, we mustn't forget that here and at Silverstone they have had some very, very good updates, all that seem to have worked. And the car, I think the team is on the way. They've got 2 excellent drivers. I love what I see from Paul di Resta, and it's only a matter of time before he gets himself back up into that position.
And Force India have got a problem in a way, because they've got Hulkenberg there, who we believe will be in one of those seats next year. They love di Resta. Now, Sutil could well be struggling to stay in that car next year, and that's an important result for him.
I'm sure it'll be down to finance, Martin.
It could well be, and how he takes finance there, doesn't he? That median company is. So,
and we know that was what cost Nico
yeah.
his seat at Williams previously. So
it's a nice problem to have, isn't it? When you've got 3 young chargers doing a great job, but you know, 3 into 2 doesn't go, and it'll be interesting to see who loses out there.
OK, money talks. So does driving. Adrian Sutil, great driving today. Let's hear from him now. He's with Lee Mackenzie.
Well, Adrian, congratulations. Good result for you. You must be pleased in front of your home crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great race. I knew we had a good car, but obviously in Silverstone the strategy was a little bit a mess. So we tried to do it better this time. 2-stop was the right way. The soft tire lasted very well. After the start, I was 7th. I could pass Jensen, and then I think I got Nico on the better strategy with the 2-stop. And yeah, it was not too much action in the race. I was driving mostly alone, and in the end, comfortable gap to the back, and I was just bringing it home. 6th place at a home crowd, great point for the team, and now we have a lot of work for the next few races, I think, to catch up and get a lot of points more, hopefully.
OK, we had a message actually just came in during that interview. Said that I'm not sure about driver of the day, but certainly German driver of the day goes to Adrian Sutil. That accolade won't be going to Nick Heidfeld, who disappointingly ended up in the gravel. And as you made the point when you saw him sitting there with his hands in the air, doesn't happen very often to Nick Heidfeld not finishing a Grand Prix.
No, he's normally Mr. Consistent, isn't he? He's never that exciting. That was exciting enough, wasn't it, as he made contact there. I felt for him there, because I'm pretty sure I saw a front on camera where Boemi was looking left for Heidfeld, and he'd gone the other side. So, you know, it's easy to stand back on a long camera lens and criticise there.
This is a great
but
shot.
It's
here.
actually also very easy to end up with wheels interlocked like that. There's another angle of it.
Somewhat of a foolhardy move, wasn't it, Martin? I mean, he was asking for that. If you're going to pass there, you've got to try and dive on the inside. You can't really go the outside on that.
You have,
corner.
but we saw all afternoon just about everybody else just stayed on the inside and defended the turning point and the apex. So I thought actually Nick was a bit unlucky there, frankly.
Nick Heidfeld done enough to stay in that team for next year if Robert Kubica indeed doesn't return to F1, Eddie, or will Renault be looking elsewhere?
If what everyone in this paddock hopes, that Robert Kubica will join Formula One again because he's an outstanding talent, then they have another quandary at Renault, and they will have to find a solution. Petrov brings naturally a lot of money, and he's justifying his place in the team. So maybe Heidfeld has to yield on this one.
Okay, well, we're all keen to both see Robert Kubica back in Formula One and speak to him, find out how his recovery is going, and we believe that we have an interview that we could do with Robert in about a month's time, so as soon as we hear from him, you will also hear that interview. Okay, well, let's get back then to the guys at the very front today, the men who made up the podium. First of all, the man who hasn't turned pole into a win in 5 attempts. We'll talk about why with Martin in a moment, but first let's hear from Mark Webber.
Well, Mark, you come out of the pit stop leading the race at one point, and through no obvious fault of your own, you end up third. How are your emotions?
Yeah, mixed, I think, Lee. I think, pretty much did everything I could today. It was a very, very, very intense race for the three of us, pushing to the limit, obviously, and very close around the pit stops, obviously, on the outlaps at the first 2 corners. Sometimes really, wheel to wheel, which was good stuff. So, yeah, just say, leading the second stint, I thought, I could eke a bit of a gap now, and looking at how the first stint went, Lewis wasn't mega strong, but also you damage the tyres quite a lot when you sit that close to him. It's a fine line. You want to be on him around the pit stops, but also you can give the tyres a bit of a hard time as well. So that's the fine line with these tyres. We know that they're very, very sensitive. And first stint went okay. Second stint, just he could always match me. Basically, I go again, take a bit more from the tyres, eke away, and always 1.5, 1.4. So that was the alarm bell started to go then, because you know that he can always mark you, and then around the pit stops they have the chest piece in the right position. So basically it's down to lap times. If you can get in front, which we did, need to get away, which we couldn't.
And tell us about that start. It looked like the car got a bit bogged down out there. Yeah,
I think that in relation to Lewis, we did not get the cleanest getaway. Near the procedure, and wasn't incredible. So that was it. But I don't think I think if we still led into the first corner, we would have maybe had a little bit of a gap at the end of the first stint. But the way the race continued on, we're always going to have company, I think.
And in terms of where Ferrari and McLaren are, do you feel that they are actually catching up Red Bull for the first time? Really, we've seen it maybe the last couple of races more than ever this season. Yeah,
I think that's obvious. It's clear to see. Everyone's reasonably intelligent up and down this pit lane when it comes to performance. So we know that the last race in Silverstone, obviously, which is normally has been a very, very good track for us. Ferrari were very, very quick there. And today here, not much more we could have done really to challenge for the victory, and we hung in the fight as long as possible, but in the end we got outpunched.
That's the same to Sebastian. Do you go away from here disappointed, because your performance has been very strong all weekend?
Yeah, but we know that the prizes and points are handed out on Sunday afternoon, so Saturdays have always been a strong area for us and the team and the car. It's not something that we inherently design in the car. We want to always do well on Sundays as well. So it's something that the team will work on and chip away at. We've got good people. We know what we need to do to try to find some more performance on Sundays.
Okay, so there you go, Mark Webber, and perhaps when Mark gets home and finally decides that he actually beat Sebastian Vettel all weekend, he'll be a little bit happier than he seemed there. And here is a man who should be so happy with his drive today, and it's great to see that beaming smile for the first time since the Chinese Grand Prix.
There you go.
Lewis, man, congratulations. That was great
Thank
to
you.
watch. What was it like to be behind the wheel?
Amazing. We talked about not expecting to be where we were today, and to be able to control the pace and get faster and faster through the race. We really wasn't expecting that, so it felt great to overtake Fernando.
Lewis, I have to say, one of the best moves I've seen for a long time actually was on the outside.
Thank you.
Passing Alonso. Was he asleep?
I don't
He
care.
certainly looked it because you just flew by him easy.
It felt great, and that means a lot that you would say that. Thank you.
Well, we'll take a look
It's good
at
to
that
have
move.
some positive comments
in a
on
minute.
my driving. So.
Oh, listen, you never get any
Not me.
negativity from us. Let's go back to the start, actually, and take a look at the start from your perspective. You can talk us through this. What was your initial reaction as the cars got away from the line here? Because Mark clearly struggling.
Yeah, we've been trying to improve our starts for a long time, and we've come here this weekend. I kind of knew that we would be competitive, and it felt great. And I knew I was going into, before I got in the car, I said, there's no way I'm going to brake too early and stop the car too much at the apex. I'm going to go wide at turn 1, and I did exactly that and was able to stay ahead. I mean, that's one of the best starts we've had for a long time, and it made a huge difference.
And this is Mark's start. We can see Mark bogging down here going into this first corner. And you did well to get through there because that pole slot is 240 metres closer to that right-hander than it has been in the past. So that was a
Yeah.
nice little shoot down the inside.
It was nice. It was nice. And I think about this race, I positioned my car. It's not always you're able to position your car in the perfect way. And I think I was able to do that then, which was able to keep the guys behind where they weren't able to dice down the outside or inside. So it felt great.
Lewis, Aki Hintzer, the guru, the mine manager at McLaren, said to me this morning, Lewis will win this race today. He is in such the right place mentally and everything. And your lap in qualifying yesterday was just supreme. Did you feel that way yourself this morning when you got up?
Well, I think firstly we should correct things. Aki is not a mine guru. He's a surgeon. He's a very, very highly qualified doctor. And Aki is the guy that looks after me when I'm ill. He's the one that always makes sure that I've got the right medicine. Aki's never had any input to how I feel mentally or if I train my mind. That's always been done with my family, the people I surround myself with. But no, he comes and sees me before the race, and he's always, okay, you are ready. That's what he says. He's finished. That's what he says.
You are Eddie, not Eddie. No,
You are ready. You are ready.
Let's talk then about your frame of mind, because one of the criticisms that was thrown at you earlier this year when you were driving the car and struggling on the track was that, Lewis is quicker than the car is, and it's frustrating him. Whereas the first thing you said this weekend I found really interesting when you said, look, I'm not going to get pole position. Pole position's out of our reach. Is it almost a bit of a mind reset that, okay, your car isn't as quick as Red Bull, but if you just accept that and just drive how you drive, actually, you can turn out weekends like this, which are just stunning.
I think, well, we know we've been improving the car, but we came here this weekend. We had 2 very, very small updates.
Right.
And when we're trying to balance how far we are down in downforce compared to the others, it was nowhere near in the step that we would have hoped we would want for the future. And I think the conditions really played into our hands. We have, for whatever reason, we were able to switch our tyres on really well in cold conditions. It's our brake temperatures, it's the brake ducts and all those kind of things. When we get in the hot conditions, we struggle. So that's why I said, and I kind of had to eat my words when I did qualifying because we were so close. But that's a positive thing. I'm happy to eat humble pie.
Oh, it's better to be surprised,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
I will eat all I can of humble pie. So,
Lewis, I've got a coat for you while I
Thank
ask
you.
you a question, if I
Thank
may,
you.
which has just been handed to me to give to
well,
you.
I can't I'll put it on it.
Okay. Right, one of the critical aspects of the race was when to change onto the medium compound tyres at the end, which clearly you were pretty much driving that with your engineer. When you had to pit, did you think this is the right moment, or were you a little bit nervous of how it was going to be out of the pits?
I think I was very, very surprised that I was able to go so far on the option tyre at the end. Bear in mind, people have to remember that the car is very heavy at the beginning of the race. The ride height's different, the balance you have is different, the tyres don't, for us at least, last as long. And I struggled massively at the start of the race, and bit by bit the car gets lighter and lighter, and it got better and better. And at the end, that last stint on the options, I was just able to keep going. And I did say to the guys, I might be able to eke one more lap out the tyres, but they said, just box this lap, it'll be fine. And in which we did. And it wasn't actually that slow. The tyres were great. I think they said there was 1.5 seconds slower, but we were actually, I think, faster.
Yeah,
so.
Petrov was already out there, and Sutil, I think. So we knew, your team knew that they were better than expected, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the first lap they were massively cold, so had huge understeer. It was like driving on ice cubes, but after that they got better and better, and great support and high speed.
Okay, we're getting a slight hurry up, so let's just watch through a couple of bits of action, Lewis, which we'd love you to talk through for us. First of all, your second pit stop, coming out here in front of Mark Webber and letting him know you were there as well by going bodywork to bodywork. Big moment.
Yeah, well, I don't think I have any marks on my car, which is a good thing. We had, in the pit stop, we had a very poor pull away. The clutch was slipping. And so that probably made us a little bit closer to Mark on the way out. We should have been a little bit further ahead. But, I mean, he drove very well tyres were warm, tried to do the outside manoeuvre, but I've been overtaken on the outside once before and I don't want to do it again, so I did not give him any room. When you're on that side, that's the way you would have to do it.
But of course, that's exactly where you passed Fernando, wasn't it, later on? So.
It is, but it was a difficult decision with Fernando, you know. If you think with Mark, he wasn't fully up the outside of, around the outside of me, so I continued to drive my line and gave him just enough room, but enough for him to be behind me. But with Fernando, yeah, I mean, that was, for me, was great. I had the grip. He didn't get on the power as I thought he would have. And the question was whether I tried to overtake him into turn 3 or do him on the outside of turn 2, and I had to take the advantage.
That's the line of the day. I gave him just enough room to be behind me.
There it goes. How good does it feel watching this back? Lovely.
That feels great.
All right. Well, congratulations, Lewis. We'll let you go and get on with the rest of your day. But
thank you very much.
So good to see you happy. So good to hear you on the team radio and to come and join us. And I tell you now, all the guys that pressed red about 45 minutes ago for the F1 Forum and have stuck with us waiting to hear from you will be very happy as well. So
thank you. I
they'll be
appreciate
smiling at home.
All
right, Lewis, thanks a lot. Well played. Congratulations.
Well done.
And he was... he's a happy guy. It's such a strange thing with Lewis because when he's not happy, you can really feel it. But when he's like that and he's had a weekend like this, you almost feel radiated in his presence, don't you? You know, he just beams out the X factor.
Well, he wears his emotions very clearly, and that's very positive. You know, he's a young man. He's spent most of his life involved in motor racing in one form or another. And suddenly he's grown up a lot recently, and being world champion has a huge amount of responsibility on him, and he's leading this team now, and that's an even bigger responsibility. I think that he still is highly emotional. We saw him almost in tears with an event recently. I think it was China, and this was another magic moment. I believe he now must think that, you know, we've won 2 races this year. We believe we see Vettel in a sort of coasting mode. I'm not sure that's true yet, but nevertheless it was very defensive today, and he might go in there thinking, you know, if I string about 4 or 5 wins together, I might put pressure on him, just like Vettel did on Alonso last year.
2 interesting facts. Lewis has never scored a point or a podium or a victory at this racetrack. And also, of course, Red Bull have only won 1 of the last 4 Grand Prix. We talk about them dominating the season. But, you know, you think about Jensen in Canada and, of course, Fernando at Silverstone and, again, here today, Lewis. And, you know, they really are coming back at Red Bull. There's no doubt about it.
It's always the way, though, isn't it, Martin?
Yeah.
They run away at the beginning, and sooner or later there's always the teams, clever people getting together, and they find a little system that works. And clearly, to all our surprise, and well done to McLaren, they do turn this on its head. I wanted to ask Lewis, are you not confused that one day the car is average and then the other next day it's amazing? I just don't understand the inconsistency there.
OK, well, let's hear from the man who's been wearing the same colour as you this weekend and who will certainly be hoping that perhaps it is a turning of the tide. Let's hear from Fernando Alonso.
Well, Fernando, it was a great race to watch. Did it feel that exciting to be part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it probably was one of the best of this year, with a fight for three people for the victory, and then I saw on the big screens also Felipe and Sebastian fighting all the race. So in general, it was good fun. As I said, we had a very good race, starting 4th. I think we struggling in qualifying again, being 4th quickest, but in the race we were as quick as the leader in all the stints. So we need to keep improving qualifying. That is our weakest point at the moment. But in general, extremely happy. I think we finished 2nd in Valencia, winning in Silverstone, finishing 2nd here. 3 different tracks, 3 different temperatures, 3 different maps in the exhaust. So that confirms the consistency of our car at the moment and the real improvements we did.
It's not just tight out there on the track, it was so tight in the pit stops as well, and you came out in front, although Lewis managed to get past you.
Yeah, and it was very close. In fact, I was first in the first corner. I had a very slow out lap with no grip at all, struggling to warm up the tires. So Luis overtook me in the 2nd corner, and then he went 2 seconds in front of me just in 1 lap. So definitely we lost a lot of the possibilities in that lap, but he did very well, and that's part of competition.
We've been getting hints of this Ferrari revival, but does a day like today, when you can both beat the Red Bulls, as in you and Lewis can beat the Red Bulls, does it give you confidence that this championship's still very much alive?
I think it's still the same, but it's still very difficult, and we need some help from Red Bull. I think if they keep finishing the races, even third or fourth is enough for them. But as I said yesterday, if there is a small chance to win the championship, we need the best McLaren possible, because they need to be in the podium constantly. Obviously, we have to be in front of them as well, but we need a very competitive McLaren as they were today, and hopefully in Budapest we can be both in the podium and not Sebastian.
Never thought you'd be thinking of McLaren again?
For a couple of months only.
Yeah, that's a very interesting concept, and the rain has finally arrived. So would we expect McLaren to do Fernando Alonso a favour?
I think it's an interesting point. It just shows you that Fernando's always got his brain engaged at all times. And, yeah, what he's saying is together we need to go and, he knows that by himself he can't pull Red Bull down in the second half of the championship, but together with McLaren he might just be able to.
Interesting that he doesn't say, I need my teammate to be right behind me, actually.
Well, no, he doesn't say that, and he should have said that. But no doubt about it, the combined forces are always greater than the force of one. And, that's what's going to happen. He needs more. So I don't think it's a love affair or anything even close to that with McLaren, because we know the animosity that's between those two from before. So I feel that he is being somewhat selfish, but nevertheless he's quite funny, but he's obviously being very realistic too. He wants McLaren to take points away from the Red Bull.
And actually, as we head towards Hungary, it's actually relatively conceivable to believe that maybe we could end up with Ferrari and McLaren as the two fastest cars going forwards, because whatever's happening, Red Bull's lead is being eaten into.
Well, it's not really, is it, Jake?
Well, it is.
Come on.
They were ahead by a second earlier in the season, and this weekend it was a tenth
maybe
and 2
in time,
tenths in
but
pole,
you're
and
talking about
in
the
the race
points.
setup.
In the point system.
No, not in the
it's
points.
there.
Going forwards in the race.
They've been very clever what they're doing at the moment, bringing both cars home, even when they know they can't win.
OK, well, if you take a look behind us, there's only going to be one winner. That truck wants to go that direction, and we want to stay standing right here. So I think that's probably a good reason for us to say goodbye from the F1 Forum. Don't go just yet, guys. We're making wait a little while and disappear from the F1 Forum. Thank you very much for your tweets. Thank you very much for your emails. Looking forward to Hungary, Martin?
I am immensely. It's all just next weekend, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had another great race today, didn't we? So, that's 8 of the 10 races, I think, this year have been stonkers, and I've really thoroughly enjoyed them, and today was no different. And I think Hungary should throw up a few surprises too.
I think Hungary, Jake, will be the final test for the tyres, because if ever there's a place we know about Monaco, Hungary is notoriously poor in overtaking positions. And if we're able to get passes done at Hungary, then we do know that the tyres and the teams and the DRS and KERS, all of those combined, are working properly.
We'll wait and see. And we'll leave you with a little fact before today. Only 29% of all passes this season were DRS related. Thank you very much for pressing red. Thanks for joining us. We will see you in Hungary in a week's time. All the very best, and fingers crossed for some sun in 7 days. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There's a side to you that I never knew.
Go! Hamilton takes the lead of the Grand Prix.
Say they were never true.
This is shaping up to be another classic.
Always been always win. But I said fire.
Webber's going to be through here.
Hamilton back in the lead. He never wants to give up. Webber has track position. Hamilton's done it. He's back in the lead. Lewis Hamilton wins the German Grand Prix.
Next time on Formula One, Round 11, Hungary.